I'm all chatty now, and then you're going to start now. I'm going to freeze.
I'll get you to talk, don't worry.
I feel transformed, liberated, exhilarated when roller skating.
Today's guest is Pascal, and he is an Ottawa roller skater and the founder of Ottawa Quad Sessions Roller Skating Club. He currently serves on their executive as its co-director and treasurer, and you can find him every Friday grinning ear to ear with a camera in hand, roller skating the night away.
Hi, I'm Mean Bean, and this is Fields on Wheels, a talk show about roller skating. Hi, Pascal. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're quite welcome.
So where are we right now?
We are home. Welcome to our home. It took us a long time to decorate it, but I think we finally got it down pat. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the Ottawa Quad Roller Skating Club lives, along with its ample collection of roller skates.
It doesn't look this nice all of the time.
No, but
you did an excellent job.
I had the magic touch today.
Yeah. Pascal, tell me, when did you start roller skating?
Well, how much time do we have? Well, there's been two starts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit like a car that was running well and then had a bit of an issue. First start was probably 1979-ish, December or something like this. Preteen in France, where I grew up, and it was when roller skating starting timidly taking off. As all these things happen, there's usually a bit of a lag. It crossed the pond a little bit later. We had skateboarding happening probably in 76, 77. I sucked at it. I was awful. And there was a bit of sibling rivalry as well. My brother was really good and sporty with it. And then roller skating happened in France a few years later, and I kind of got on that craze to have my own cool factor. So skateboarding was not for me, and I was a bit too sporty as well. But this is where I really started. Now, it's a bit of a funny time because in a sense, I was a bit too young to be part of the real discotheque skating craze. I was probably 14, something like this, or 12 at the time. So as much as I was riding it, I wasn't part of that going to roller rinks. There were not that many in Paris anyway. So I'm not really a product of that roller rink era. I have this kind of imagined nostalgia about it, but I was kind of not quite with it.
Where were you skating then if you weren't skating?
Oh, we were skating outdoors. That was Paris was our playground, basically. Yes, that was really where we're doing most of the time.
And did you ever go take your roller skates to the skate park?
They weren't skate parks. That didn't exist. The place to go was, if you see the Eiffel Tower, you look at the Jardin du Trocadéro, which basically have an incline and huge steps, and that was the place to be in Paris. So we would jump flights of stairs, and the skateboarders had this as their own territory, but then starting to mingle with roller skating.
Did you jump stairs?
Oh yes, we did.
Roller skates?
Oh yes, we did all sorts of things. Yes.
Pascal,
yes, no, we did. I will not repeat. So that was my first start at roller skating, and I lived in England quite a bit also during those years, or a bit after. England was also part of where my roller skating was happening. And a bit of liberating preteen years, a bit of cool factor, but then you angst and the frustration of being in the in crowd, but kind of at the periphery of it because you're a preteen. And then I completely forgot about it. For about a quarter of a century, I had no recollection whatsoever of skating. It kind of went out the window, got busy with other things, of course, obviously. Came to Canada, long story. And then in 2012, a friend of mine uttered two words to me that I hadn't heard in 25 years, which were roller disco. So that friend of mine was active with one of the roller derby team who was having a fundraiser for Halloween. And those words did something really strange and weird in my synapses. A number of connections happened because I went, wait a minute, roller disco? I used to connect the two. And anyway, she invited me to the roller disco. That was a fundraiser, and I brought my daughter along with me. It was on Quebec side in Gatineau, and I rented skate. And listen, the gate opened. It was a flood of pure exhilaration. So I'm a klutz. I'm not well coordinated. I abhor sports and performance. Abhor is the word. But all of a sudden, I was right back into my elements. And the funniest thing that I could look at was my daughter's face, because she was really taken aback. So 2012 was the moment where it restarted on a totally different level, because at that time I was almost a grown up. I had done some maturing, and I could do what I wanted with it. And so that's my second beginning, my renaissance of sorts with roller skating.
So you have a quite unique style. You're rink skating where you're doing all these fancy moves at the rink. Was that something you learned as a preteen, or is that something you taught yourself as an adult?
I think it's a bit of a combination of both, but I think, we've been skating now 13 years, at least once a week, often more than that. So, no, I think there was an evolution that happened probably 2012 forward, which is why I have to stress I am not a product of the rink culture. This is kind of
Which
this.
is surprising.
Yeah, it's I actually never skated in a proper ring, maybe in England a couple of times, but yeah, that was not part of my mix. So style, I don't know if style, but certainly the way I'm skating kind of developed with friends who were skating with us all the time, and
So those are your influences, or just people around you?
absolutely, just
Wow.
just watching. And
That is so fun. So how did OQS come into existence?
well, it started right away, actually. The day after that friend of mine reintroduced me to roller skating, I went to the store. That was it called Neon Skates at the time? Sister D was managing it. I bought myself a pair of skates, and that was Halloween. So that was late October, which was the dumbest thing you can do. It's kind of an impulse purchase with no future in Ottawa. So I just had to keep that rush going. That was one thing. It also happened at a time when, my line of work was fairly intense. And I work with, that happens in many professional milieus where we kind of self-seclude with the people that you work. And I kind of needed to shake things up a little bit. I needed to kind of venture out there as well. So keeping the skating going and kind of trying something a bit socially focused was my motivator. Now, the third thing that motivated me starting almost the next day OQS was there was no place to skate in the city, obviously. I needed someplace indoors. This is, a winter sports, hockey town. It was very difficult to get a place. And the only place that I could find was in a gym at Carleton University, which is usually devoted to sports performance activities, including derby. And I thought that would be a neat way of just actually perverting this and getting the one spot they gave us, which was awful. It was Fridays 9 to 11. And I thought no one ever got it up. And kind of do something for pure hedonism, the pleasure of skating at a crazy time, put it up there, see who's going to come. And so that's pretty much what happened. I think within a couple of weeks, I was able to get a contract with Carleton. And then Marcus, hey Marcus, and I kind of started to get the word out. And bit by bit, the first couple of years, it was very slow. But bit by bit, we grew it. So OQS started almost right after I got my pair of skates.
That is amazing. And did you start doing rentals right away?
No.
Okay.
It was about a couple of years of basically we were just trying to see if people were interested in coming to skate at this crazy time, 9 to 11 on Fridays, with no instructions, always music. But at the time we had a tiny little speaker. I think it was my daughter's iPod speaker. So it took a couple of years to generate enough of an attendance. But then we got a first batch of rental skates, thanks to Melanie. Hi, Melanie. And whom we sent in some strange trailer park in southern Ontario. And she got us our first batch of rentals, actually. This is part of it. Look at this. These are really
so
cute. So we got about 20 to 30 really rough leather. So we started doing some rentals then. The big jump to rental was probably 2016, when we had learned, it's sad news, that an institution in terms of the roller rink was closing down in Canada. I'm not going to say where, because there was some hard feeling that the skates were not staying there. But we got in touch with the owners, something that had been a family business for a while, and we could see that there was a lot of interest in skating. And basically, we were able to purchase this batch of skates, which is around me, which just have this fragrance of rentals. And I always remember the email that I got back. It was really complicated. We had to get them shipped using printable Canada Post labels for each packet. It was a very involved process. But we got an email from the son of the previous owners who was really happy that I was going to be growing a community. And grow a community did. It really enabled us to, host events with no limits. And so rentals were something that we got into progressively and more aggressively about 10 years ago, I guess. Yeah.
So how did that evolve over time?
Well, it was obviously gradual. Derby was certainly the family connection, and Marcus was heavily involved with Derby at the time. So suddenly we were getting skaters who just wanted to come for fun, which was great. I love Derby folks. We've been surrounded with a Derby. We do things with them. We've done fundraisers, etc. I don't get Derby. I don't understand it. They're amazing skaters who prevent each other from skating. I never got it. There was a little subgroup who was basically, they were coming just to skate. They didn't have to perform. They didn't have to do drills. They didn't have to get the next level up. So that was certainly part of it. And then we really got a mixed bag of folks. And that's as much as what drove OQS was more, it was driven by the hedonism of skating. It was a social experiment. Just putting something up there for pure pleasure. At the time, there was no, roller skating was really, I wouldn't even say it was counterculture. It was so under the radar. Certainly derby was counterculture to some extent, but not roller skating, recreative roller skating. So it was really this quirky thing that maybe people had done as a kid, or I know in North America, there was this whole nostalgia about, and seeing what happened. And we started to get small numbers, but really people from really different walks of life. Really people who would not have met or probably would not have crossed roller path, if it weren't for roller skating. So I think that was probably the trademark, or what gives a bit of a sense of identity, this mixed bag of very eclectic bunch of people who would get together every Friday night. So regulars, some people would drop in from time to time. Then, little nucleus of a group solidified, absolutely. So, the people who became kind of our little exec group running OQS. Marcus was there from the beginning. Louise, or Super Louise, who's been doing so much for giving some shape and structure to that club. Dave, who is our skate master, looks after all of these skates. Melanie, who was involved with us for quite some time. Anyway, there were a number of people and some of whom are still around. And then it really started to grow from there. At some point, probably by year 4, whenever we had events, especially in the summer, I would say. We used to change location. We skate mostly at Carlton, but we used to go in the summer to a decommissioned curling rink that would be decommissioned in the summer when the ice would be taken off. By year 4 or 5, we were starting to get, 30, 40, upwards to 50 people. And so you would have the nucleus of people who would come regularly, those who would come on and off, and people would rediscover this. So it started to become a quite even more eclectic and kind of growing group.
Can you tell me how the Lansdowne party started?
Lansdowne party was sheer envy. Green was the color of Lansdowne, because we had been approached by someone who wanted to run a real roller disco, retro roller disco. I think it was a fundraiser, and I had rented out Lansdowne and needed skates at the time. And they approached us to see if we could team up to be part of that roller party. Zara, who was also part of our executive afterwards, was a close friend of that person and was also on board. And so we, with them, and they really took over Lansdowne horticulture, I should say. That's the horticulture building at Lansdowne. And they took it over and did an amazing job of turning it into a roller disco. It was really, really well done. And we provided the rentals and the skate monitors. Yeah, I got really envious of that. So we have to do a repeat of this. And it took some time, because getting the horticulture building is not, it's a prime location. It's a heritage building. It's smack in a Golden Triangle, in the Glebe. But eventually we were able to get, multiple dates. You have to book them a few years in advance. And that's how we started doing some events at horticulture. But mind you, we had done themed events before. We had done some at Rideau Curling Club, which we had in the summer, and from time to time at Carlton as well. The big thing, of course, is at the horticulture building, we can bring some lights, there's a different sound system, etc. So that's kind of how the horticulture building started. I bet you it's Louise. Hi, Louise.
Hi.
Hello.
It's not an ambush. I'm being interviewed.
You can come video bomb if you want.
Come and check out our digs.
Pascal did it all.
Look.
The Lansdowne events, there's a bit of a challenge with getting that location.
We've scaled them back. We're very grateful for Lansdowne to have some nonprofit rates, and also, to give us some, we have to book them for 2 years in advance, but to give us the opportunity to have events there. But it is a bit of a price. We're a small nonprofit group. Okay, we are a federally registered non-for-profit corporation, but it is non-profit, and so it comes at a cost. So over the span of 3-4 years trying out those horticulture themed events, we figured out the ones that work and the ones that don't work, basically. So we have a couple that are usually always very busy. People are really gung-ho on joining us, usually on Halloween at the end of your parties, and others that we try in between just to keep the motion, the rolling fun going, a bit more of a challenge. And every time there's a challenge, it's a hard hit financially. So we've scaled them back to what really works. That's really what we've been doing.
You've also introduced a travel series.
Yes. So for many years, we said we have to try to go on an outing. And we've always tried it the worst way possible. We've tried to go out of the city in the winter, not necessarily to bucking a bus ahead of time. Anyway, that's with the storms that we have and the winter that's unpredictable, so we never gel. So finally, last year we said, no, we really have to try it, and so we got really organized, and we were able to charter a bus and book the skating rink at Delson, the Palais du Patin, which is here actually. It's right there.
Yes, there's one coming up.
And which is an interesting venue. It's basically the second floor of a full-size skating rink, and it's a corridor concept. So you don't skate in the middle, you skate around the periphery of it with lights, music, and etc. And so we've done it once. We've done it the second time this fall. Mm-hmm. And again, we're going to try to go in March. I say try because we need to break even. Mm-hmm. And again, buses do cost a little bit. So
it is super fun. So you absolutely buy a ticket.
And this is family, i.e. you basically sleep on the bus together in a big heap when you come home. We get back home around 2 and 3 a.m. So it's fun. No, it is fun. So we've added that on, and we're going to try to continue this as long as it's interest, and as long as we can charter a bus as well to go there.
Do you think you're going to explore other areas?
It would be neat, but there are challenges. I mean, if we wanted to go to Mississauga, for instance, where there's a rink, the bus would be quite expensive, plus you probably have to spend the night. So we would have to try to do it in a different way. But absolutely, we're open to, and we're certainly open to partnership as well. As you know, we were involved with an initiative which was not our own, but in Cornwall, where someone actually was able to rent a mall that was not being used, I think, anymore, and run an event there. And so we partnered up. We sent our skates and a couple of our folks there. So these are other things that maybe that may continue to happen. The idea is to bring skating where the scene has really changed in Ottawa, which is great. So when we started, there was, unless you wanted to get into Derby, which is fully legit, but for recreative roller skating indoors, which, for Ottawa is pretty much eight months out of the year, there was nothing. Things have changed for the better. The city runs something every Tuesday out of the horticulture building, subsidized by the city, so it's really affordable. They don't have the overheads that we do, or they have a different structure. We have a skating rink as well now, Skate and Play, that has opened up about a couple of years ago. So we're still part of the mix, but obviously, if we can bring roller skating to where there is currently no skating fun, we're certainly open to this as long as we can swing it. But our main focus still remains Friday night, 9 to 11.
And speaking of partnership, you are here and Louise is here in the background preparing to go to Winterlude tomorrow.
We've done that for a number of years now, probably 4 or 5 years. I guess with the predicament of the weather being so unpredictable, Winterlude and the city have had to think of alternatives when the canal doesn't freeze. And they've come up with this roller disco idea in a huge cattle castle, Aberdeen Pavilion location. And so what we do is we provide the rentals. So we were approached by the city 2 years back, and so we bring a massive rentals, which within about an hour, this is going to be emptied. You're going to not see our beautiful walls because it's all going to be in the van that we rented downstairs. So we basically partner up where we bring the rentals, and we have folks on the ground, and that makes it possible, I guess, for folks to try out roller skating in this really interesting building.
And I want to highlight again that this is all volunteer effort. So Louise and Pascal are here on their own personal time, basically lugging crates of roller skates into a U-Haul that they'll bring to spend a full day in the Cattle Castle tomorrow, which will also be a little bit nostalgic, right? Because it's going to be closing for construction for several years.
That's right. I mean, it's not a prime skating location in the sense that this is not a pristine skating rink, but it's really fun. It's really the ability to skate in a place like this. So we've been able to do these opportunities a few and apart. So we've been able to do this on a yearly basis. We've started to look forward to the Winterlude skate. So yes, I guess we don't know how many iterations of Winterlude we'll have to go without, basically.
Different topic. I need to know how the photography started, especially the photography on skates.
So absolutely not initially as a necessity to feed Instagram or Facebook, even though we had a Facebook account, but that wasn't the perspective at all. It's a bit of a side story. I actually got into photography around the same time. The year we started 2012, the year we started OQS, was the year where I got a dog, Holly of the Valley. And Holly of the Valley is a British Spaniel, an intense dog. A hunting dog. I'm not a hunter, but it doesn't matter. You don't take the instinct of the dog. And that was a crazy year to start this and to get Holly as a puppy. And where Holly flourished, she needs to be outdoor. And as a puppy, that was pretty much, 3 to 4 hours daily in real woods, bushwhacking. And which I kind of enjoyed, but I don't have the canine disposition of Holly. I don't run as fast. Bushwhacking is a bit more of an issue for me. So I got bored. After she was properly trained on recall, I would be in the woods and she'd be doing her thing, sensing and just tracking things. So I kind of started to take pictures around the same time. Then what happened at OQS? As I said, it was a bit of a social experiment as well. Other than the pure sheer pleasure of just rolling every Friday, seeing people smile, genuine smile, catching the roller smiles. This kind of became a little bit of a side quirk of my skating practice. I started to take a lot of pictures. Now, the people who have been regulars with OQS for, well, now over 10 years, I probably have more pictures of them than their parents.
Yeah.
That's probably it. So yeah, so we love to take pictures. So now obviously there's a social media presence and we feed them. What doubles up the pleasure is during the week when the session is over, going through the pictures, and there's some pictures where the smile is absolutely so much out of this world. And every year I have my favorites. A couple of years back, we had 2 birthday parties just haphazardly happening during the same session. And we got the 2 birthday person paused together, impromptu. The smile of these people were absolutely unbelievable. So yes, that's kind of the connection. I skate with a camera so I can snap that moment of sheer pleasure that people have skating. I thought that I was moving you.
I'm just so touched.
Is it? Yeah. Might be the dust as well.
Yeah,
Now, you know what really works on skate? It's Lysol. So yes. I don't know if I can...
not an ad.
Not an ad. No. I don't know if I can suggest that it would work for eye irritation, but it works on everything else.
No, if anything, it would cause eye irritation.
Would it? Okay.
I think so.
All right.
So how many bottles of Lysol do you guys
Oh my God. You know the funny thing with Lysol? This is the Pavlov dog thing. It's just Fridays are so much fun that we have Lysol because we basically, if you see us at work, you know, this is what we do. We take a skate and we Lysol it inside after each use. And the smell of Lysol for now is ingrained in our mind. It's a reflex. We smell Lysol and we want to go skate. To me, it's the perfume, it's the olfactive memory of OQS. It's Lysol. It's kind of this weird association that we have.
But Lysol, if you want a sponsor.
We'd absolutely love to do that. Not the apple flavor. That one is actually, that's a mean product. Do not try the apple flavor, kids. Yeah.
Back to the photography, you take amazing photos, but you're also skating backwards and in movement taking these photos.
Well, that's why so many are blurry.
Oh.
That's why the ones that you see are a fraction of. Honestly, if I were really into photography,
yeah,
I would get a really expensive camera, a tripod, and I would stop skating. But no, yeah, you have to be with the people you skate with to take the perfect pictures. So it means that's great for digital photography because you can mess up 200 pictures for the benefit of having 10.
Kind of a side note, just because I keep looking at these cones, one nice thing that OQS does is you have that sort of beginner area. Can you talk about how that came about?
Louise, do you remember when that came about?
When we changed it up to be more of a learning area rather than specifically beginner, so that people had a space to practice kind of whatever, so that you had room if you wanted to work on a trick, or if you were doing something, the roller skating challenges, and you're like, oh, I want to see if I can do this thing. So we changed it up for that. Yeah, I don't remember how early on that started.
See, that's the beauty of it. Some of these things happen organically. There's not even a collective memory of it. Now, it could be what may have solidified it, although I'm not 100% sure, is when we got the carry wheels, which I should have taken out. I cannot show you the carry wheels because they're buried. A friend of ours who was skating at the time with us quite often built this apparatus which helps beginners to prop themselves up. So maybe when we had those, we felt it needs a dedicated lane. Thanks, Carrie, again. Your carry wheels live on.
Are you that dedicated to not being on camera? You're invited.
And this materialized out of thin air. Louise was absolutely not involved. We only have the one set, and we don't have multiple. And it's a beginner's area, slight practice area as well. Some folks who do practice some derby moves, also dance moves. Although the middle is well populated these days as well.
Yeah, all kinds of different skaters go to OQS. And I'm kind of curious how many people got their first start at OQS. Probably quite a few people.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, start or restart, such as was the case for myself. But we do have about 3 or 4 families with kids who grew up with OQS.
Yeah.
And I think now the first university age or higher ed age cohort is coming up, so it kind of grew as well in some families that going to OQS was bringing the kids and seeing them grow. So we do have pictures going from age 2 to probably age 17.
Oh, That's really sweet. Speaking of nostalgia and families, do you want to say a few words about Roger?
Yeah, I was madly looking for Roger's skates, which are somewhere in our beautiful home here. But Louise is the one that doesn't mess things up. I tend to shove things here and there.
Okay.
Roger's skates. Roger was this amazing skater from the 60s and 70s era for sure in Canada, who joined us very early on and really became part of the group. Was our light master. He has this incredible collection of all kinds of lighting fixtures, and for the first half of our existence, he was a fixture, a big smile, amazing skater. It was a bit of a larger fellow, but it has this flexibility on the. He transformed absolutely on skates and did the lighting for so many of our events. And we lost Rogers a few years back. We still have his skates. Still a big presence in terms of someone who contributed a lot to the group. The funny story with Roger, I can't remember if you already had this home. We upgraded. We buy bigger real estate. That's bigger real estate right now. We used to have a small real estate, but at some point, half of the space that we had was devoted to Roger's expanding collection of lighting equipment. And his spouse didn't know anything about it. So of course, when he passed, we brought back all his paraphernalia to his home. I still remember his wife, look at this mess. How much did he have? And more was coming out. And somehow I think that Roger took the easy way out. He couldn't face up the music. And I think, I think that's my Roger story.
Your inspiration maybe for all of your costumes or some examples of past ones, because you've had some impressive ones.
Okay, well, come on, we have to be fair. I think the person who wins at costume playing is not me, but is Louise. Okay, so no. Okay, we've seen some.
I agree.
The paperback princess one was an absolute beaut. Yeah, we started to add themes to some of our events. Sometimes we go a little bit, off the deep end with the themes, and it can be. What did we have? We had the Quadon Blanc, a purely white one. We had some 80s themed flower power, polka dot, Space Cadets, which was really, that one was really fun. So of course we tend to play the part, so we go quite crazy on costume.
Star Trek, we actually had the Klingons come out.
Oh, yes. One of my favorites was the sparkle themed one.
Oh, those ones are fun, yeah.
And that's when the infamous disco skate was born. And also, you got a disco helmet.
Well, yeah, that was thanks to, I'm not going to name names, but that was a beautiful gift, a prize gift, where I glitter from inside, or I shine from everywhere. But with that helmet, its beams, I could power the whole of Lansdowne when I had that helmet.
Sure could.
Yeah, we're heavy on costumes to the extent that I probably have. I'm thinking of my wardrobe, probably have more costumes than work clothes. But Melanie, she wasn't a good influence. We used to go to theater sales when local theaters would do away with their collection, and the number of props and suits that I bought, which didn't fit me at the time, but somehow would motivate me to lose, some way so I could fit in, which never happened actually. But I have to look at the Pascal cam.
Yeah.
So Pascal looks at the Pascal cam.
Yes.
There's a number of adjectives for sure. Let's start with transform. I think putting on skates really changes you. There's a fluidity of movement that comes with skating that is fairly unparalleled. Walking, even running, even though I don't run, God forbid, stumbling and staccato is kind of what the human body does in terms of emotion. But with roller skating, there is a continuous fluidity that you inhabit, which is really different from anything else. And it transforms you in the sense that it is not an apparatus that is separate from you, like a contraption which stands the way you sit. It has this kind of cyborg-like, symbiotic, prosthetic logic to it. You slid them under your feet and you forget about them. So you really inhabit from within this absolutely strange motion, which is so liberating, transformative and liberating. You do not constantly, stumbles are necessary, they're good. That's how we learn, that's how we practice things. But all of a sudden you are in this almost continuous movement sphere as a body motion, and that's just a beautiful thing. So that's absolutely, I think, liberated, transformed, and then exhilarated. The pure adrenaline of this. We all have busy lives, and to some extent, and doing this outside of work and outside of the social connection of work is extremely motivating. And I think the time I felt the most exhilarating was, there would be many times, but was when a meeting ran really late at work, and I was in full gear, suit, etc. And it ran late on Friday. And I due diligence, I did what I had to do, but all that I wanted to was skating. And I remember rushing into the gym. I just strapped my skates on. I didn't even change. I had the tie, and just the sheer wind of the motion would have my suit jacket flap, and that was a perfect illustration of how exhilarating. I had wings. I had work wings brought about by skating. So yeah, I think transformative, liberating, exhilarating, and it's chummy. The new people, I track their smiles, and they better smile, because if they don't, the camera's not happy. But you're basically going through this completely energizing, liberating, hedonistic motion in the company of other people whom you see there every Friday. So it's a chummy thing, it's a collective thing, it's a social thing. It's really unique. That's how it feels. And it doesn't feel good when it doesn't happen. That's the other way. And I have to say, after you've skated this way, walking seems unnatural. It seems like we were not designed for walking. When you get back into the stumbling and the staccato, one step after another, there's a naturalness that you grow into of skating.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I feel transformed, liberated, exhilarated when roller skating.
Great job.
That's it.
Yay. Yeah.
Of course, I didn't tell Louise that this was happening, and Louise rushed so that we could pack everything.
All this so much